The absolute best alternate recipes in Satisfactory are solid steel ingots and, well, there is your first answer. We will get into all of them in just a moment, and if you stick around to the end of the video, we will talk about a very efficient steel production method that compounds multiple alternate recipes together. Sneaky peeks and more. Here is another segment to the modular Megabase series that I have spent hundreds of hours building up for you, just to share tips that you can blend with your own designs and creative seals. Snuggle up with your favorite doggo and play some Plinko with your factory card, and up your efficiency without spreadsheets, starting right now. Just as in the previous alternate recipe video, I've posted all of the recipes we will be covering today. So there's your cheat sheet for those of you that need everything post-haste. Let me know in the comments down low if you love that I give all of the answers up front on your way off. I'd appreciate it. Starting with solid steel ingots, a fantastic recipe. Of course, I'll be feeding my alternate iron recipe into this and compounding the yields. And you get 50% more steel for the coal and iron you input with power savings as well. In this example, we're using half or all of a full line of ingots from the claw, pumping the pure iron recipe directly here via train. If you haven't seen the previous episodes in this playlist, the claw refinery section pumps out quite a few lines of 780 iron ingots per minute. So, continuing with the Megabase series, the goal of this playthrough is to show efficient, modular, and organic expansion techniques. I want to see what kind of yields I can get by basically progressing through the tiers again, but with the best alternate recipes on a modular endgame scale, and share the results with you. I have been very particular about being eco-friendly and making sure I have lossless production in this playthrough so that you can depend on these results. You can copy my designs directly, or just get a feel for how I organize and use ad hoc expansion and maybe see something new to add to your process. In this design, I have it directly across the street from the other alternate recipes. That way, there is enough space to achieve what I need later when I need to add more. I can easily remove the roof and expand upward. The solid steel ingots are definitely up my alley, and I would highly recommend them. In my situation, I have the benefit of only having tapped one coal power plant very early on in the playthrough, and I actually just recently moved here. I also am using the alternate recipe for encased industrial pipes, that's a given. And I definitely will be leaning into the iron-based alternate recipes and getting those set up today, hence the steel in the title since they complement each other. Although the encased industrial pipes are like solid steel, you get more for less, so it made sense to build them near each other so you can see a simple layout for your own purposes. This stretches your steel even further, even if it is a bit slower to craft these, so you may have to do a tiny bit of multiplication here with your end key if you are wanting to hit a certain target. I am planning on using these for the alternate recipe heavy encased frames in an upcoming alt-to-alt video for the final tiers. And another thing about encased industrial pipes. This recipe allows you to really push some in-game build goals in my opinion. As a recipe, it really starts to become more worth it once it's combined with the solid steel ingots, which is great because I built this next door. Also, I don't want to have to yank you around to a bunch of spots to show you some simple, tileable, or modular layouts, so I'm really enjoying myself with these alt recipes and doing them over in this area. It is pretty wacky to finally be here doing this, and not working on nuclear, the desert biome, or trains. Encased industrial pipes aren't fancy, I get it. Or I didn't like them myself personally doing them the first time because it was for space elevator milestones and nuclear power. Anyhow, it has been an enjoyable experience this time, and I'm glad it got the space it deserved, and not shoved in a starter facility. This will definitely take the steel further, so I'm feeding into it from next door. And moving on, steel rotors and steel rods can probably just be lumped together to save you time. I wanted to experiment with them as well, although they seem less efficient at a glance. Once I built them, however, I want you to know that they can definitely be useful if you have the prior steel recipes mentioned already in action. That, and when you have a full spec or focus where you can feed this correctly, it isn't too bad. I made sure that I left enough space as well to be able to expand here vertically for other floors and adding more modules in the future. This setup isn't too difficult. I was able to get it in here with room to spare, trying to follow the theme of the first tiers across the street. I'll just keep all of this steel together, and you are starting to see the theme here if you have already looked at the master list of the best alternate recipes that I have been sharing so far. Rotors and rods are pretty basic but very handy to have, so I'm glad that I have at least set up an easy to remember layout for this. And I like how I have combined the resources here today so you can see it all in the same area. Just remember to pick this apart and spread these apart enough to enable expansion later depending on your preferences and your goals. And a quick note on this biome before we move on. This used to just be a road out here from when I was exploring during my early playthrough, and I cleaned up all of the scaffolding when I got ready to do Megabase guides over here, away from the desert biome. Man, I spent hundreds of hours on that biome. It's nice to have a change of scenery and get to these experiments. And speaking of the experiments, we have an honorable mention here for the steel screws alternate recipe here in the tier 3 and 4 alts video. If you are an individual who took the time to grind through screws in the game, and you haven't eliminated them out of your builds like Paul Atreides organizes his advisors, then I'd recommend getting steel screws up and running along with the prior steel recipes. If you haven't watched the other videos on the playlist, I don't show anything or recommend anything that requires spreadsheets or difficult maths. If you can't do it on your endgame calculator with the end key, then I won't recommend it in this series. To put it simply, I'd recommend starting by draining an entire pure node with the best miner you have, pumping that into pure ingots if you can, and essentially transporting it into a simple, clean setup like this example I made for you today to start. I encourage you to rewatch my videos as you progress through your creative journey. The tips I share in this series aren't just from Satisfactory. I have spent years building mega saves and trying different styles and other titles. The strategies in this series or playlist aren't just for building big. I've been trying to show strategies that I think were best captured in the video titled All Game Logistics if you haven't seen that one. I thank you for your support as we progress through this Megabase guide, but I want you to know that it is only a framework to launch your own creativity. As a result of making these builds for you, these structures are designed to be open and easy to interpret. The possibilities to really put a personal touch on these basic layouts are really quite vast, so be sure to remember that when you are being creative. And just because I don't have the time to spend 1,000 hours in each biome anymore, doesn't mean you don't plan to, so this can work for that too. Since these strategies and tips shared aren't really deep in the nitty-gritty, my hope is to share my thoughts on the most fun and the productivity for the time that you put in, no matter your schedule, big picture kind of stuff. But don't leave, we aren't done yet. Let me bend your ear for another minute or two. I'm trying to keep this video short because my channel analytics tell me that people won't watch much past this point. So, if you could do me a quick favor and boop that like button, it's free, just like these videos that you chill to when you want to get in the zone building your own factories, so I'd greatly appreciate it. These videos are designed to be chill and rewatchable at any stage of your Satisfactory Megabase journey. Even early game while you are progressing through the tiers, it helps you plan and organize your thoughts. If anyone didn't notice, I try to design the videos in such a way that even if you don't need the tips, it still turns out to be a pretty cool cinematic with your own personal tunes. Just put the video on mute and watch it with your own music. I don't really design these to be trendy. These videos are for people who are searching for help. Here is something cool for you. Coming up soon, since you stuck around this long, you'll learn that I appreciate those who watch my videos to the end. I have a little surprise for you. What's coming next? I'll be working on several projects, but the ones that you can expect first involve sharing a super easy design guide for when you really just don't want to be extra creative, but you want to enclose a module and complete a structure. You know, so that you can move on to more exciting things and take a break from a particular build. I'll be doing this with the nuclear power plant, also known as the HOG. This will be in the form of a condensed optic design guide, where I take the guides I've shared previously and put it into practice on a smaller scale. Also, we have some more best alternate recipe tiers to get through to complete these experiments and really add some solid best practices to this playthrough series for you to incorporate and mold however you need to for your own goals. Meaning those of you that are in the future will probably see the next guide video pop up shortly. Thank you all for your support. As of this video, we are very close to unlocking the community feature on the channel. Stay fresh, play how you want, how you can, stay effective. Please don't unsubscribe just because it takes me 3 days to put another video together for you, and stay you.